Okay, here we are. Harvest of Light, Ceifa de Luz, by the Spirit Emmanuel through Chico Xavier. This book was titled Ceifa de Luz, Harvest of Light. It's already translated, being revised. And this book was published in 1972. It was actually written in 1972 and published in 1979. This book by Emmanuel is the series of books of inspirational messages, but it's beyond inspirational messages. Emmanuel, as a wonderful educator, brings to us insights that are unprecedented in every message. In the previous message, we were studying about the Son of the Truth, the mission of this spiritist light in the world, when the good spirits reminded us that under the blessings of the Christ, we are all being called to shed light in the world of consciousness, starting from ourselves, through service, fraternity, understanding, and love. This is our call. And as we're studying about the world, as a curriculum, Emmanuel brings to us a new chapter about civilization and the kingdom of God. You agree that the earth has progressed much, but are we really civilized? Kardec asked this question to the spirits, and Emmanuel revisited it for our own benefit. Why is it important for you and I to pay attention to this? Because it's about us. It's not about the world itself only. It's about us. We're part of the world. We contribute with the world. So the question is, do you think you are civilized? Don't be offended. It's just an assessment question. Do you feel you are civilized? What do you think? It could be a yes or no, or it could be a scale 0 to 10, how civilized you think you are. Shall we? Let us think about this and make this assessment so we're more permeable to Emmanuel's message. As Jesus said to Nicodemus, it's not enough to know, we need to feel it. We cannot divide our lives in compartments, right? Like many of us in many lives, we went to the church and then the rest of our lives was a different life under different rules. Two ways of measuring life. Emmanuel calls us for coherence. He calls us for in unison. Right, Teresa Castro? She's saying not always in thought. That's a beautiful take, Teresa, because Allan Kardec, in several instances, studying about the human mind as an immortal spirit, unveils to us what he found out in his research regarding the communications with the superior spirits. You're right. We are who we are in our thoughts. And Teresa is bringing to us the precise angle we want to measure. And when we say thoughts, we're talking about feelings. So, where do we go from here? Think about it as people are coming in. Are we civilized? Don't think about others. Let's think about ourselves. How civilized am I? Scale 0 to 10. Not civilized at all. I don't think we're there anymore. Yes, super civilized. Are we? Is this a matter of self-esteem? No, it's a matter of maturity. So let us read Emmanuel and go from there. Shall we, friends? So welcome, dear friends. Welcome, dear souls. Now you're here, let us grow. Let us love, let us serve, let us help everyone. Shall we? Are you ready? Chapter 36 from the book Harvest of Light or Ceifa de Luz, published by the Brazilian Spiritist Federation, yet to be published in English. Marcelo Medeiros is here with us. What a joy! We can see many friends, Dulce, John da Rosa, Cris Anastasia, Valéria Benfica, Andrea Torres, Rihanna, we see Sunshine, Kátia, Iva Ribeiro, Hipólito is here with us, Larissa Hairston, how are you? And the baby, Angelita, you see Angelita, Fraternity Without Borders. Here we are. And many friends joining us, coming in. Rudy is super present, making it pleasant. Let's go. Let us visualize Chico Xavier in 1972 psychographing this message by the spirit author Emmanuel. Let's not forget, Emmanuel is from the team of the Christ on earth. He came to bring to us the rules of life that shall stay with us to immortality. Civilization in the kingdom of God. Emmanuel is going to begin this message by quoting a verse from Luke chapter 17, verse 20. Interrogated by the Pharisees about when the kingdom of God would come, Jesus replied, "The coming of the kingdom of God is not something that can be observed by external appearances." Let us mark this down. Emmanuel then, inspired by this verse, he explains to us, the earth of today brings together people of vanguard in the field of intelligence. Huge cities are used in the form of giant nests of cement and steel by groups of millions of people. The electrical energy ensures the circulation of the force necessary to maintain work and domestic comfort. Science guarantees hygiene. Cars save time and shorten distances. Press and radio and television interconnect thousands of individuals in a single moment in the same range of thought. Schools brighten the brain. Techniques guide industry. Social organizations sponsor social security and security issues. The trade, wisely directed, caters to consumption with precision. But are we before an impeccable civilization? Facing these shining emporiums of culture and material progress, let us recall the words of Allan Kardec's instructors on the basis of the codification of Spiritism. Kardec asked the spirits, "What are the indications that make us a complete civilization?" This is question 793, quoted in the Spirit's book. Kardec then collected the following answer. You will acknowledge it by its moral progress. You believe that you are very advanced because you have made great discoveries and obtained wonderful inventions, because you're better than the savages. However, you will not truly have the right to be called civilized unless in your society you have banished the vices that dishonor it, and when you live as brothers and sisters practicing Christian charity. Until then, you'll be just informed people who have gone through the first phase of civilization. Spiritists, brothers and sisters, Let us recall the warning of the Christ when he tells us that the kingdom of God does not come to us with outward appearances. To build it, let us not forget that the Spiritist doctrine is the light in our hands. Let us reflect on this. Okay. So let us collect a few elements as we are dissecting this text, because we're studying together, right? Paulo Sérgio is here with us. Welcome, Nina Dewey, Marilda, Veiga, and other friends. So, first and foremost, we studied about the importance of Spiritism shedding light in our society by getting rid of materialism. Now, Emmanuel brings to us the promise of the Christ to build the kingdom of God on earth and the ultimate civilization. And he quotes in Luke a statement that says it all. It's not about external appearances, outward appearances. Let's pause for a second. Let's think about ourselves. Or this is just mere study. But we need to feel it. Let's think about this. Where am I showing an appearance that I actually don't sustain inside of me? There is a mismatch. There is incoherence. As Teresa Castro pointed out, we are one person in our thoughts sometimes. And I'm just extrapolating from her comment because Kardec points out to that direction. There is one person in our thoughts and feelings, one in our words, and one in our actions. Do you feel guilty for it? Don't. You know why? Be kind to yourself. But verify that there is a need to merge. To merge all of it and be one, homogeneous, less conflicted. And you may be asking, how do we do it? First, by identifying the need. If I don't identify that I have these incoherences, I won't be able to remodel it. We also need to accept it. So first, identify it. Second, it's vital to accept it. Say, okay, I accept that I need to be more coherent. Because there are people who know that they are splitted in thoughts, words, feelings, and actions. And they're like, that's okay, it doesn't matter. And they keep playing the masks out of survival needs. But that's not very smart in terms of our emotional and spiritual intelligence. When we are emotionally and spiritually more elevated, we understand that we no longer need to play these games, that they're actually making us lose energy. So how do we become one with ourselves? First, I identify where I am splitted. Second, I need to accept the need to embrace it all. Third, have a plan. But I don't think without the Christ's consciousness we will be able to do it. Only the guidelines of the Master will make us be unified. Many people talk about unity in their lives, in their families, at work, in their nations, in their communities. But those will not appear until we are united in ourselves. We're still splitted. So what is the secret? He says it here to us. It's about focusing on our virtues, the moral development, aiming higher and saying, I can do it. I was born to be better. No, I'm not kidding. You and I were built, we were created, and we're sustained to progress. When? Now. How? However I feel that is best for all. So that's why the moral development is key for us. When we talked yesterday about love, and today we're repeating the lesson, it's about feeling ourselves that God is center stage in our universe and we're children of God as much as everybody else. But Vanessa, don't you get upset with people? But you know, I'm not your model. I do, but then I correct myself, or I suffer. Our physical bodies, they start showing to us that those emotions are not healthy. I cannot sustain hatred, resentment, and grudges without feeling the effects in my health. So how do I sustain the joy of living? By renewing myself every day. And literally letting go of the old to letting the new. To letting go of anything that is not needed, to let in God, as Wayne Dyer used to say. So I breathe in and out. How many of us are not civilized yet? I remember somebody saying, oh, whenever I think of that person, I wish that that person would not be living anymore. And it's such a common statement. Thank God we no longer kill physically, but in our minds. It's very common for people in our society to still have this feeling that person is going to die, they're going to disappear, they're going to be displaced, which is historically a movement of self-preservation. Somebody's bothering us, we visualize or we feel that they're going to disappear, they're going to vanish, they're going to die, they're going to be sick, because that's going to be safer for us. In those feelings, we are not civilized yet. Do you like pets? Because if you like pets, I'm going to bring an analogy. You domesticate a dog, a horse, animals in general. It's about time that we domesticate ourselves. But how do we do it? With love, with kindness, by telling ourselves, take it easy. I know this is hurtful and you want to run away because it's the fight or flight mechanism, right? It's in our emotional, sympathetic system, the autonomic system, saying, this is not good, it's a threat, run away or fight. So we no longer do it physically, but emotionally or in our thoughts, we create a whole scenario. Or during sleep time, as we learn in Spiritism, we leave our bodies and we go there and dwell with the person. We fight with the person. André Louis shows it to us in several of his books. through Chico, Xavier, André Luiz, the author of the book Nosso Lar, The Messengers, the book The Missionaries of the Light, In Life Goes On, Sex and Destiny, Liberation, etc., etc., he tells us about when we leave our bodies to sleep and then we go and keep fighting. So how do we reset our system? By giving that person or that situation a new meaning. It's no longer a threat. Okay? You have the power to give the whole person and the situation a new meaning. It's a threat to you. Change it. Revisit it. It's as if we are editing our perception. Okay? Humans can do it. Animals cannot. Because we have the power of consciousness and free will. So according to our will, we can go back and give it a new meaning. Jesus, the Master, the guiding model, taught us to look at ourselves and one another from a different angle. We are children of God. We are children of God. No matter how criminal that person is or we are, we're children of God. And it's a radical acceptance. It doesn't mean we're going to go there and live with a criminal and allow the abuses to go on and on. No, 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 no. But we'll no longer hold in our minds that statement that that person is a threat or that situation is a threat. I'll look back and say, that person is a child of God. They are progressing. There will be a day that they will be out of this scenario, past this scenario. They will be better. They are destined to be better. How long it's going to take, I don't know. But I believe in the best in them. Even if we have to be far away from one another. But I believe that they are out of it already. Because in God's eyes, they are. And we are. I no longer hold that last picture I took from the person. I erase it all. I tear it apart and I begin anew. I prefer to visualize the person in their best. That's why Emmanuel said in the chapter Understanding of the book Thought and Life, the only way out is to seek the good, is to feel the good, to visualize the good and to mold the good with all the resources we have at hand. Keep focusing on the good. Don't stop. I know, when you turn on the news, Mamma Mia, it's not easy. But then you make a choice. You say, I prefer to seek the good. And if God is allowing this to happen, there will be something out of it that will benefit everybody. And we are going to find out about this together. We won't be passive, but we won't be here either lamenting, or we won't be here negatively speaking about this, or we won't be believing that the world is coming to an end. The end of evil is coming soon. Oh yes, that's a sure thing. That you can say. The evil in the world has a deadline, that we know. And it depends on all of us. But it has a deadline. And good shall prevail. And if it prevails in my mind and in your mind, it will be disseminated. You need to make a choice. That's why Joana de Angelis says, I choose to be happy. Shall we practice this now? Tell yourself. Put your hand on your very heart chakra, the vital center, and say, I choose to be happy. I choose to be happy. I choose to be happy. I choose to see the world happy. I choose the world. I choose a happy world. I choose a happy world. And I believe in the good of people. This is how the spirits say the earth of today have a lot of intelligence. And he describes to us the achievements way before internet happened. But he says to us, quoting, you see, Emmanuel is so wise. He doesn't replace wisdom. He brings the wisdom of the good spirits right here. And he says, we will acknowledge a civilized person and a civilized society by their moral development. Oh, Vanessa, but that person is so intelligent. They do good things, but they are creating dissension. But they are not being Christian towards everybody. They want to be exclusivists. They want to be the best, and they want to displace the qualities of others instead of unifying everybody. So they are not civilized. Is it one of us? Remember when Jesus said, you know the tree by its fruits. Our society is still believing in appearances. If you have a title, if you have a position, if you have beauty and money and status and influence, relationships, network of friends, then you are somebody. That's how people thought of Jesus. He was a nobody. He had no title. He apparently had no influential network. He didn't come from a sect that said that he was to be more respected. And probably we would see Jesus again nowadays and despise him, put him aside. But do you think he was a revolutionary? Do you think Jesus was wrong because he didn't enter the temple of the Pharisees? Because he didn't participate in the expected religious traditions of the Judaic tradition? Because that's what people thought. If he had entered the temple, if he had accepted to be one of the doctors of the law, if he had walked the traditional protocols, he would be fine. But he didn't. What does that mean? He's your guide, my guide, your model, my model. He's telling you, do not accept protocols that are against your ethical, moral values. And we as spiritists, we can no longer repeat such mistakes. Now we focus on the simplicity of our moral development and doing the good without approval of others. You do the good just because. You just do it. We need to repeat this lesson. I know many people who do not open spiritist groups, do not do this, that, and the other because they are waiting for the world to say, here is a statement for you saying, go ahead, do it. It's not going to happen. Chico Xavier was never asked by Emmanuel to do anything. Emmanuel was there available But who gave the first step? Chico Xavier himself. Emmanuel, what can I do to help in the dissemination of Spiritism? And he said, discipline, discipline, discipline. Divaldo Franco started the Mention of the Way before he knew that his mentor was Joana de Angelis. The name. He had a vision. He started it. It was still blurry. He couldn't see exactly, just a glimpse of it. Many people didn't agree. I know from his own words. He said how many Spiritists said that they were crazy because they were young and they were starting an orphanage. Thank God they never listened to the voices of those who couldn't grasp the greatness of the promise. When Moses led the people to the promised land, he didn't ask the Pharaoh to vouch for him. And it was a sublime journey, says Emmanuel in the book On the Way to the Light. We need to understand the foundation of the Hebrew civilization, which is great part of our history on the earth, the spiritual foundation of all of us. No wonder Jesus came in that very people. So, for you and I, Emmanuel is saying, Spiritists, let us recall the warning of the Christ. The kingdom of God does not come with outward appearances. Oh, I believe in this person because they have a beautiful family. Oh, because they are so solid. They have a very steady profession. No. These are outward appearances. Jesus was not married. He didn't have a profession that was, impacting at the time. And forgive me if I'm not using the right word to express about his profession, but I mean, it was not something glamorous, being a carpenter. Emmanuel says, to build the kingdom of God, let us not forget that Spiritism is the light in our hands. Let us reflect on this. So we're being called to work on our own inner civilization. What a beautiful lesson. You and I are being called to be more civilized, to work on our vices that dishonor it, and the things that separate us from others. What are our vices? Let us work on our virtues. The more virtuous we become, the less addicted, the less vices we will have. So focus on your good, or your virtues to be. Don't say I'm not patient, say I'm becoming more patient. Don't say I'm not tolerant, say I'm becoming more tolerant. Don't say I am a bad person, say I am becoming a good person. Invest on you, because you are not only informed, but you're given an opportunity, as I am as well, to become more civilized, to balance our intelligence wing with our moral wing, so we can fly higher and embrace more people with the love that God grants us in our hearts. Shall we, friends? What do you think about this? Isn't that a good invitation? Emmanuel doesn't put us down. He invites us for more. He says, you can do more. Yes, I can. Let us repeat to Emmanuel. Thank you, Emmanuel. Yes, we can. Tomorrow, when we come back, we're going to study chapter 37. We are past half of the book. and it's a little more about superculture and moral calamities. As we are in the very month of awareness of suicide, this message is perfect fitting. For now, I give you a huge hug, wishing you that you exercise this virtuous to be in this next 24 hours, embracing yourself as a person who is destined to be ever more civilized in the good. Thank you, friends. Thank you, Sunshine. Thank you, Daisy. Thank you, Rihanna. And until tomorrow, God willing.